Hello everyone, I'm Nnamdi Odipo. We're live in Abuja and this is the Ballot. Lovely evening to you out there and thanks for joining us. I would like to apologize for coming a bit late for joining you this evening. We had some technical itch and we had to resolve that before we could come on there. I'd like to welcome you formally to the program this evening. It's Wednesday, March 15, meaning we have less than 72 hours to go until the polls officially open for the governorship and state houses of assembly elections. Recall that 28 states will be participating in the governorship election, while states with off-season governorship polls would only participate in the state houses of assembly elections. Well, tonight we are hoping we will focus on two states, two candidates, and two parties as well. With just a few days to go, an electioneering campaign pegging at midnight tomorrow, I reckon the parties and candidates are hoping for a home run. That is, if their messaging have so far been hitting all of the right places. Let's not keep you waiting any further and get right into it, starting with some of the major highlights for tonight.
We have to bring out virtually all the sensitive materials ready for deployment to 25 local governments.
INEC builds momentum on Saturday's election, quickens distribution of sensitive materials to LGAs.
Well, we feel at this crucial moment there is no need to divide the minds of the voters of Adamawa.
NNPP's North boosts chances of Nigeria's prospective first elected female governor. With less than 3 days to go, we review the chances of some parties in states where they are neck and neck. The Independent National Electoral Commission is fast-tracking the distribution of sensitive materials for this weekend's governorship and state houses of assembly elections in participating states. NTA was on ground earlier today to monitor the process in some states where distribution is ongoing, supervised by the resident electoral commissioners, security agencies, and representatives of political parties.
We have insisted that they should be opened, and that is part of the process of building confidence on our part. We don't want to take chances. We don't want to have a situation where these materials will be deployed to local government and we start receiving reports of shortage.
We have to bring out virtually all the sensitive materials ready for deployment to 25 local governments in preparation to Saturday governorship and state houses of assembly elections.
And in Adamawa State, a surprising endorsement by the state's chapter of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, is giving a boost to the electoral chances of the governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Aishatu Dairu Ahmed Binani. The question is whether these and other endorsements could possibly carry her through and just maybe make her Nigeria's first elected female governor.
But we feel at this crucial moment there is no need to divide the minds of the voters of Adamawa, and that's the reason why we decided in the new Nigerian People's Party to collapse the structure to APC in order to vote for Her Excellency as a distinguished senator. Hopefully, inshallah, the governor of this state comes Saturday when we conduct.
Now, we hear that this weekend's governorship election in Katsina State could very well be the most competitive since 2003, when late former President Musa Yaradua, as governor at the time, was seeking a second term in office. Well, all of that is now water under the bridge. This time around, there are 13 candidates in the race to take over from incumbent Governor Aminu Masari, whose second term ends May 29. And one of them joins me tonight from Katsina. I'd like to welcome to the Ballot the governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Dr. Diko Mao Rada. Doc, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. I am glad we could get you on the program before the campaigns formally pegged at midnight tomorrow. I have been intrigued, and I have looked at your development blueprints for Katsina State, even though I find certain aspects simplistic, but I don't know if that's deliberate. And I'll give you an example. In agriculture, for instance, the core of your messaging is that you would equip farmers in the state with modern farming equipment. I just figure at this point in time, I mean, 21st century, you could perhaps begin to prepare farmers in Katsina State for the future. Farmers of the future, a future beyond traditional agriculture, where farmers, could perhaps begin to build capacity and have more than a string or one string to their career bow. Perhaps combine farming with processing, manufacturing, and even value addition.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you have got it the right way, because in our strategic policy for the development of Katsina State, we have come up with an agricultural policy, and this agricultural policy focuses on 3 areas. One of the areas is we focuses on extension services, because we need to make our farmers more knowledgeable on how to do the farm practices, how to do it well, and how to make sure that they use the available land and get the output that is expected at this age. And then how do you get the expected output? The expected output can only come when you have modern technology, modern equipments, then adding value to your product. Because if you look at it in a very simple way, most of what our farmers produce, they don't get the value they deserve to get, because they don't add the necessary value they need to add on those products, so that they can get the value of their money, they can get more profit. And it is only when they get more profit that they will be able to improve the living standard of their lives, and also reduce the poverty level and provide employment opportunities to our teeming youths. So I think developing agriculture, Katsina being an agrarian state, it has over 85% of their population engaged in agriculture. I think one of the major focus of the administration should be on how to improve the quality of our product, how to improve. And one of our major problems, especially in the northern part of the country, is the land tenure system. The land is becoming more smaller every day because of the number of people that are inheriting a farmland. With that, I think it is important for us to ensure that we improve the production, so that we can produce more at a very small land size.
I'd like to link this issue to insecurity, in Katsina State. I'm sure you're concerned, just like so many people are, about the happenings in northeastern and northwestern states in Nigeria, where they are having to contend with the larger Lake Chad Basin crisis. Whether this is as a result of the conflict trap in the basin region or the receding water bodies, I know that we have pockets of food deserts scattered across the region, with families and individuals, likely to spend more than half of their saving on food alone, amid, of course, security concerns. What policies in your blueprints enunciate, how families and communities can perhaps develop capacities and resources to be able to feed themselves and escape hunger and poverty, while getting assurances of safety as well?
I think if if I get you very well because I couldn't hear you very well, but I think you are focusing your question on security issues and how we can be able to improve the living standard of our people.
If you don't mind, I could just very quickly repeat the question. I wanted to know what policy initiatives are contained in your blueprint that could help families and individuals struggling with poverty and hunger and even issues of security to perhaps develop capacities that would make them have the ability to fend for themselves rather than government handing out them or giving them handouts.
I think in my blueprint, what I came up with is how to develop the economy of the state. And for you to develop the economy of the state, you have to look at what are the parameters that you have to measure in the development of the economy in that state. One of the things that we want to do as a governor in Katsina State is to create an agency that is saddled with the responsibilities of macro, small, and medium enterprises in the state, which should be under the office of the governor. I will give it all the necessary things that it takes because of my experience when I was heading the agency, Small and Medium Enterprises Agency in Nigeria. I know what it takes to provide job opportunities, to create wealth, and to reduce poverty. And the only way you can do that is through the improvement of macro, small, and medium enterprises in the state. And how do you do that? First of all, identifying the skills of those individuals, try to see where they will pitch, try to see how you can build their capacity to the level that if you give them capital to improve on their businesses, they can be able to do that. One of these things is building capacity, identification of those people, identifying their needs, and after identifying their needs, then what next do you need to do? Then give them the capital, inject capital in them so that they can be able to fend for themselves instead of them working with the CBs from one office to other looking for jobs. Let them be jobs providers. Let them provide end meets to their people, and let them also provide job opportunity to our teeming youth. With that, we can be able to create more jobs, we can be able to create more wealth, and we can be able to see that we have improved their living standard and their source of livelihood will be much better than how it is today.
I hear you there. I had wanted for you to link that very quickly to security. I had wanted you to also link that issue to security, but I did also notice that during your campaign trail, you took a tour of some areas that are regarded as bandit strongholds. I'm talking about areas like Basira and Safana axis of the state. I don't know, can you very quickly tell us, and very quickly too because we're losing time, tell us how your plans in the security sector, perhaps some of the non-kinetic approaches that you're coming up with can possibly, curb incidences of security breaches in parts of Katsina State?
We are quite aware of the fact that the police and the military are not under the corpus of the governor. But what we intend to do as a governor is we try to see how can we be able to engage the people at the local level.
Put into play.
Engaging them in the sense that we employ them, we provide training to them, provide all the necessary input or materials they needed so that they can be able to work together with the conventional security agencies in the country and see how they can be able to tackle the insecurity within their locality. First of all, you have to gather local intelligence, work with the local intelligence, work with the traditional rulers, work with the traditional institutions, and then employ those young men that are living in those communities so that you give them all the necessary training. They will be able to protect themselves using the conventional security agencies in the country. And how do you achieve that? You can only achieve that if you will be able to provide a kinetic and non-kinetic approach. This one that I just mentioned is the kinetic approach. A non-kinetic approach is trying to see how you can improve their economy, how you can improve their livelihood, and then engage them in a gainful employment, especially engaging them in agricultural production, irrigation farming, so that they will have all year-round engagements. If you try to do that, you will be able to improve their economy. And once you improve their economy, the security challenges will reduce, combined with the other efforts, and then also using the technology. Now that we are in the process, we have engaged those people who are very knowledgeable in the IT solution, and they are developing app that can be used to curb the insecurity within the area or reduce it to the barest minimum. So we are going to use kinetic and non-kinetic, and we are also going to use technology so that we can provide and then provide quality leadership, because even if you provided all those things, if you don't provide quality leadership, you cannot be able to achieve much. And why I engaged myself, and then why I intended and I was able to visit all those security-prone areas, is so that I can see the challenges myself, and I have seen those people. I saw how they were living, how terribly they were living, and that has also gingered me, because I too was a victim of this insecurity in Katsina State. My blood brother, whom we are same father, same mother, was killed by the bandit, and then one of my brothers also, who was also kidnapped. I had to pay ransom to get his freedom. So these things we have suffered from it. I was a victim of it. It was one of the things that has been disturbing me and the people of Katsina State. And that was the reason why I engaged myself. I was able to go to all those places, even roads that were blocked, that security agencies prevented people from going through them. We followed them. We went to those villages, and we saw what we saw, and it was really a very terrible experience. And we are going to confront this challenge, and we are going to deal with the challenge, and we are going to suppress it, God's willing, and we are praying that God will give us the energy.
Doc, and it's a pity. It's a pity what happened to your family and your driver, and I hope such doesn't happen again. Of course, security is an issue which is integral to the growth of any economy. There cannot be sustainable development in any society that lacks peace and security. I would have loved for you to, since you referenced the issue of your experience in Smedan, I would have loved to know if perhaps you would be exploring some new and unsaturated sectors that you would pursue. But just before I move you along to the very next segment of our program, which will be quick, by the way, I did also read somewhere that you received a delegation from the NNPP some time ago. I just wanted to know, and it's just 3 days to the election. I'm pretty sure you have your cards, or you're keeping your cards close to your chest. But how confident are you of the D-Day as we approach the elections? You think endorsements like the ones you've just got from, or you've just gotten from the NNPP and alliances, are going to be your trump card?
Speaking, I think we are very good to go. And what we are receiving from the people of Katsina State is really so overwhelming. And we are happy and glad with the kind of support we are getting from every quarter. If you look at Katsina State as today, the PDP structure in Katsina State is almost collapsed. And if you look at the NNPP, they have just come out, all the leadership, all the candidates supporting us. I think this is something of great achievement to us and for the people of Katsina State, because people of Katsina State are no longer looking at the party. They are looking at the ability and the quality of their candidates. And this is where we are going. Katsina is progressing. We are seeing so much development in our political process, and we are happy with this kind of development. And coming Saturday, you will see a lot of things that are going to happen in Katsina State. You will see people massively voting for APC and voting for our candidates, so that we will get the necessary leadership and the quality leadership that the state deserves. And we are hoping and working towards that. And almost everybody is coming on board, and the ship is almost full. and we are ready to overload it, upload it, and then we are ready to get it. And the victory is ours, inshallah, who comes.
I tell you something. No, I'm actually very happy for you. And I'll tell you something. This is not the first time that we're hearing politicians, and you have been in this game for long, so you totally understand what I'm saying. It's not the first time that we're hearing promises and politicians promising heaven on earth and saying they will do this, they will do that. But can you just help me do something and set targets for us? Yeah, people are watching. Your voters, eligible voters and prospective voters. In fact, there might just be some undecided voters right now in Katsina State whose mind or hearts you could just convince. And tell me what happens in Katsina State in the first 100 days if and when you take over as governor, you take over the leadership of Katsina State. Tell me the likely changes that they are going to see in the first 100 days in office, in the first 100 days of your administration, if given the opportunity. How can you begin to change some indices, perhaps negative indices, or that you perceive as negative indices, into positive indices within 100 days in office?
This is where the politicians are getting it wrong, because the politicians will try to make promises, empty promises to the people they want to govern, and at the end of it, they will lose credibility. What I will tell the people of Katsina State, in the first 100 days or in the next 1 year after being sworn in as a governor of Katsina State, we ensure rule of law, we ensure that there is going to be laws available so that people will sit up, people will obey laws, we'll make sure that there is justice between every category of people in Katsina State, and we will make sure that we look at the problems of Katsina State and try to find a solution to the major problem, because as I sit today, I may not be able to know exactly what is in the government, what is in the corpus of government, how much money the government has, how much indebtedness the government is. So it is only when you get into the city you'll be able to sit up, see the problems yourself, try to provide solutions to those problems. But day one will ensure rules of law in Katsina State. This is the major promise I'm giving the people of Katsina State. I will make sure that there is rules of law in Katsina State. People obey law, people do the right thing, and we do the governance in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We ensure transparency and accountability in government. This is my major promises to the people of Katsina State. And I will make sure that I block all the leakages where people siphon money of the government. I will make sure that we reduce a lot of leakages in government and ensure transparency and accountability. I will be an accountable.
You know, somewhere in the mix there, you threw in justice and equity. I reckon that also translates to equality. I'd like to take you up on that issue because I have been to Katsina, in fact, a number of times. Last time I was in Katsina was in sometime in 2022. The metropolis. I have not had the opportunity. I think the most I got to a rural area was in Daura. The president's hometown, and that's about it. That's about the only, and you would not consider Daura a rural area if you know what I mean in the true sense of it. But in terms of justice, in terms of equity, in terms of equality that you've referenced, how do you intend to build a society that embraces inclusiveness, that allows for, not just certain segments of society to own certain parts of the state, but for all segments of the society to own every part of the state, creating a society that recognizes or that appreciates your contribution just as it appreciates mine, a society that is all inclusive. How do you intend to build one like that, since you brought up the issue in the first place?
You know, the most important way of making inclusiveness in government is trying to bring people who have credit, who have the skills, who have the knowledge, who have the capacity into the major positions of government, and making sure that there is equitable distribution of positions within the local governments in the state, but making sure that you bring people on board who have the capacity, who have the knowledge, who have what it takes to bring development to the state, not minding sentiment, not minding other issues. And I was a local government chairman for about 7 years. People have known me. People have known the kind of credibility I have in Katsina State. I was a DG of Smedan. People that I work with in Smedan, they know the kind of leadership I have provided in Smedan. And people that I have worked with in different capacity. I was a teacher, I was a banker, I was a national welfare secretary of our party. So I know what it takes. I have the exposure, I have the capacity, I have the knowledge, I have the skills, and I was exposed. And I will make sure that I bring those experiences into bearing for the people of Katsina State and for the leadership that we wanted to provide for the people of Katsina State. The most important thing is fairness to God and making sure that you do the right thing and without fear and favor, so that every party in the state. And then we also want to involve bottom-top approach, because we will not sit down at our offices and be throwing projects to the people. We have to go back to the rural level, go back to the community, make sure that whatever we are doing it in line with their needs and aspirations.
Very quickly before I move you along to ticking the boxes, I mean, well, you've seen what played out in Katsina State in the presidential elections and the voting pattern, as it were, and that is also the president's home state. I mean, do you think all of what played out in the presidential election and the presidential National Assembly elections and the fact that it is the president's home state could just work in your own favor? That is.
What people need to understand very well is 25th February, there were 3 elections in Katsina State. There was presidential election, there was senatorial election, and there was House of Representative election. APC won all the 3 senatorial districts in Katsina State. And the margin of votes between APC and PDP in Katsina State is well over 50,000 in the senatorial election. And if you look at the House of Representative election, there is also the issue, we won 9 out of 15, and we won 21 local governments out of 34 local governments in Katsina State. But, you know, in the presidential election in Katsina State, there are 2 issues that plays out. There is regional politics there, and there is also tribal politics that plays out in Katsina State. And those things has favored Atiku an edge over Asuajo Bola Tinubu, and the edge it gives Atiku was only 6,000 votes, and it is not it's not wide, and it's not much. And I think it is important people to understand that APC won the last election because we had 9 House of Representatives, and we had won all our 3 senatorial districts. And the Katsina State came third in providing votes to Asuaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu in all the 36 states of the Federation.
I did reckon that the outcome of the presidential election will somehow buoy your confidence. It's time now to take you to the segment that I've talked about. It's called Ticking the Boxes. You will be presented with a couple of targets and made to choose from 3 options. I mean, choose an option that reflects your viewpoint on their position or the feasibility of these targets within a time frame of 4 years. Ticking the Boxes is up next. Okay, great. It's already there on the board, so I guess I guess we'll just go ahead and look at the issues. Doc, if you can see the box in front of you on the TV set, there are 4 items right there in the box. The first item says close basic education deficits by 75%. Do you consider that's a realistic target? Do you think that's an unrealistic target? Are you undecided on the matter? Which option would you go with? Yeah.
I could not see the boxes because I am not sitting, I'm not watching any TV around me.
Okay, great. So let me see if I can help you out there. So we have an option which says close basic education deficit gap by 75%. Do you think that is a goal that is realistic for you to achieve if you're elected into office and within 4 years? Do you think that's an unrealistic goal, or you don't think that's something you want to decide right now? since you're not in office, yes. So which option will you go with? Realistic, unrealistic, undecided?
Speaking, I wouldn't want to pick any of the boxes because I don't know what is on ground at the moment.
Okay.
I would like to get into the office, see what is on ground,
So,
give myself target.
So
and see
that's
how realistic
what we'll
am
do is
I
that we'll
to
take
achieve the
undecided
target.
for you for the first issue. Maybe the second issue could change your mind and maybe you could pick an option. The second issue is food sufficiency. Do you think this is another target that you can achieve in 4 years? Can you perhaps make sure that in all parts of Katsina State, people get food to eat, food production is increased, food supply chain is increased? And I mean, do you think this is a realistic target? Do you think it's unrealistic? Or would you rather
Honestly,
again
this is a very
wait till you get
realistic
into
target.
office?
This is a very realistic target, and with things we have in place and with experience I have, with my level of education, because I read agriculture up to PhD level, I'm sure that I'm going to turn around things. I'm sure that I will improve in production in Katsina State. I'm sure that there will be more food supply, more food to eat, more food on the table, more economic prosperity for our farmers in Katsina State within the 4 years.
Wonderful. Let me quickly take you along to the third item on the box there. It says 80% reduction in banditry and kidnapping. Do you think this is something you can achieve again in 4 years? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it is unrealistic, or you'd rather wait until you get into office? Definitely realistic. Fantastic. Definitely realistic. Okay, Doc,
because why I said that, because
please go ahead.
I promised the people of Katsina State that even if I'm going to spend the whole money of Katsina State on security so that people can close their eyes and sleep in Katsina State, I will make sure that I spend all the money, even if I could not be able to execute one capital project in Katsina State.
Fantastic. So I'll take you along to the very last one, the very last target on the box there. It says to create 40,000 jobs. That's 40,000 jobs in 4 years now. That amounts to like 10,000 jobs per year. Do you think that's a realistic target? Do you think that's unrealistic? Are you undecided on the matter?
I assure you that I'm going to surpass that target.
Oh, wonderful. So that's realistic as well.
And by doing that, I'm sure that I can create 100,000 jobs opportunity in 4 years in Katsina State.
Doc, I hope you're not biting more than you can chew there. Maybe that is one target. You should just wait until you get into office and then decide.
I knew what I did in Smedan.
Okay.
And I knew I can do better here, because I will be the chief executive of Katsina State.
Okay.
In Smedan, I was just a head of a parastatal. I don't have control over budget. I don't have control over allocation of funds. So I don't have control over approvals. I only work with what was given to me as a DG.
All right then. All right then. So all right then. I would like to thank you so much for coming on the program this evening. Governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Katsina State, Dr. Diko Umar Rada. Thank you so much for coming on the. By the way, I do wish you the very best of luck in the elections come Saturday. Hopefully, we would have time to get together and talk about it after the elections.
Governor-elect of Katsina State, inshallah.
Best of luck there. There's still more to come when we'll take a short break. And now, when we return, we will be engaging the governorship candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. The Nigerian electoral system is seemingly simple, yet may be complicated for some.
It's for them to come and tell us what they have.
Running an election is equivalent to what? A job application.
I want them to identify the issues plaguing the common Nigerians.
PDP should focus on PDP and APC should focus on APC.
Let's show you what an election is all about as Nigerians pick the next president, governors and legislators. We interrogate their plans, question the rationale and review the prospects. Join us on the ballot.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, Remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Oh boy, this one where I read, you carry machete, you see carry gun, wetin you want take am do sef?
As I dey para like this, I don't vex.
Oh boy.
Joining me live from Bauchi. Not from Bauchi, I beg your pardon. From Bauchi is the governorship candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, Senator Aliru Jika. Welcome to the ballot, Senator. Don't mind me there. I was a bit confused. I thought I had to go back to Katsina, but it's good to have you join us from Bauchi this lovely evening. How is Bauchi this evening? Senator, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me clearly. Senator, can you hear me there? Senator, I would just go ahead hoping that you'd hear me. I had the opportunity to quickly go through your blueprint. Aside from promising to revamp the states generally, I did notice some sectors that you also plan to rejig. Do you perhaps have some priority sectors that you have outlined that you intend to work on in this your rebuilding Bauchi State's plan? Did you get that, Senator?
Can you come again, please? There's a technical...
Okay, fantastic. Now I can hear you. I hope you... Okay. My director tells me you can hear me now. I would like to say welcome to the ballot, and sorry for the audio glitches there. I'm glad we've been able to resolve that. I had an opportunity to go through your blueprint, and I did notice your big plan, very big plan to... to rejig the states generally. I was wondering if there are perhaps key sectors that you intend to focus on much more than others, by the way.
Very much for this question. First and foremost, Bauchi State has always been a civil servant state. So with my engineering background, I've come up with a very technical and a very holistic action plan, a blueprint for Bauchi State. First and foremost, we need to diversify the source of IGR of Bauchi State, because Bauchi State has a lot of potentials, from natural to human capital and other minerals. We intend to carry along or to go with the previous administration where they get it right, and then we condense it and come up with one working document, a plan that will work for new Bauchi, inshallah. Ranging from agriculture, mining, tourism, and security, human capital development, and so on. Which is all contained in our action plan for Bauchi State. That is why, as a party, we tore the 212 federal wards of Bauchi State to have on-the-spot assessment of what is actually on ground. Let me tell you that during our visit or campaign visit, there is no single presence of government in those 212 wards across Bauchi State.
Okay, so you've mentioned a couple of issues. You've talked about diversification, but you know what spikes my interest? The lack of government's presence in 201 wards that you've mentioned. I mean, when you say this, naturally it will sound like a bad indices or a negative indices. In your plan, and I reckon that you've done some legwork, some homework before you drew your blueprint, your manifesto. In your plan, does it contrast, you know, some of these negative indices and perhaps not just identifying them where they are, but setting targets? And I'll give you an example, and I'd like for you to pursue that. You say there are no government presence in 201 wards. What kind of government presence are you referencing now? Like, if you had the opportunity to become governor, what would we see begin to happen, you know, in the 4 years that you've become governor? And I'm not just saying, tell me you will do this or do that. In contrasting these negative indices, can you perhaps set targets? Say, okay, if we want to build schools by 4 years, we would have built 75% of school or educational infrastructure statewide. Use that as a benchmark to tell us where you're headed to.
Thank you for that question. To start with, as I said, we need to diversify the source of internally generated revenue of the state. First and foremost, Bauchi State is a landlocked state. Bauchi State is about the only state that is bordering over 9 states. You have Kaduna and Plateau, you have Kano and Jigawa, you have Taraba and Yobe, you have Borno, you have Gombe and Yola. So we even need to open up the state for economic activities. The state is locked. As an engineer, that is why I've gone around the 20 local government in the state to see how we can now open up the roads in the state because of easy accessibility for commodities and other things. And then, on the other hand, you made mention of the issue of what we are going to do differently in all the 212 wards, which I said there's no government presence. You see, all the basic amenities, the necessary input that government is supposed to make in those wards is not there. Even road, access to those areas, let me tell you, accessing those 212 wards cost me about 5 vehicles with my entourage. So what we saw there is an eyesore, and there's nothing to write home about. I heard the governor saying that he has paid all the salaries and other things, all achievement, which is false, which is totally not true. What we are seeing on ground in Bauchi is far, far different from what he's saying.
You still haven't set targets for me or told me what you would do differently. You say you would do things differently. You still haven't given me examples of how you want to do things differently. And I mean, you know, it's one thing in saying that, look, I want to do something differently, but it's another thing to say, this is how I will do things differently. So these are two extremes.
Why we visited those 212 wards is deliberate, because so that we can have the on-the-spot assessment. We will now take inventory of what we are supposed to do. I told you, education, agriculture, all the basic amenities, necessary amenities that government is supposed to provide, it is not there. So we are going to declare a state of emergency, first on the health sector and the education. Those are the basic things that we need to start with. And I assure you, we are going to use those 212 wards to drive our plans. That is why we went and now discussed with the traditional rulers there, and now to have a direct input from them, so that will guide us in our project execution. We are going to And on the first 100 days, we are going to enroll at least 5,000 youths or secondary schools leaving certificate to higher institution, and then we'll now go back to basic education and now declare a state of emergency on that sector also and do a lot of. But it's not just about building classrooms. It's about getting the good teachers who are well trained so that they will provide a quality education for our pupils.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. And I'm glad you've mentioned these specific areas. I had expected you to do that earlier, but I'm glad we got that out of the way. You know, as a senator, I know you have experience. In fact, I was reading your work on the police reforms bill. You know, but I hear candidates all the time talk about or touting their experience, capacity, and ability to deliver on the job all throughout their campaigns. What do you think the average voter in Bauchi is more concerned about? Is he more concerned about the quality of the candidates? Is the person or is the voter more concerned about prevailing public sentiment or party popularity? Which one are you hoping to ride on to clinching victory come March 18?
Very much. Bauchi state is a revolutionary state. We don't believe in party. We don't do party politics here. Politics start from Bauchi. Nigerian politics start from Bauchi during Madam Saadu Zunguru's time. So I assure you, Bauchi state, the youth and women of Bauchi that are ready to change the narratives, to change the way of governance in Bauchi, the bad way of governance in Bauchi. I assure you, Bauchi state is going to decide on Saturday, and NMPP will emerge victorious, inshallah.
Okay. Okay, we'll be watching. The result card will be out on Saturday. It's not far anymore. It's actually less than 3 days. But you know, let's talk some economy now, and very quickly too, because I need to move you to our last segment called Ticking the Boxes. Do you perhaps have some new and innovative way to boost IGR in Bauchi State?
I said we're going to diversify. Now, the major problems of Bauchi State is legislation. We don't have a good legislative framework that will guide governance in Bauchi State. And as a lawmaker, I was a former speaker in Bauchi State. We passed a lot of resolutions, bills, advising to government to diversify its source of IGR. But I told you nothing has been done. But if NMPP after we got elected, inshallah, on this Saturday, part of our plan is to leverage on those legislation, good legislation, especially the Land Use Act and the Local Content Act, which Bauchi State is blessed with a lot of minerals. We are going to, which is left to only illegal miners, mostly, to go about their business. We are going to change that narratives. We are going to rejig that act, take it to the State Assembly for holistic amendment, and then now we'll now key into those sectors that will earn the state more IGR. And then talking about tourism. On tourism, Bauchi State, you can go on and on and on. We have the Yankari National Reserve. We have the Sumo Park.
True.
We have Zaranda Hotel. We are going to invite investors to come and do BOT or PPPP. These are some of our plans as a party or as a government to now diversify the source of IGR in Bauchi. And Bauchi State, over 80% of Bauchi State is arable land, is farmable. And then with the new discovery of oil in Bauchi State, which Bauchi is a landlocked area, and taking or piping that oil to Kaduna is over 480 kilometers, and which the federal government does not have the revenue or the funds to.
Okay, Senator, I'm sorry to butt in here, but I need I need to stop you at this point and move you very quickly along to the last segment of our program because we're totally out of time. My director has said that to me time and again. But this is a simple game of choices where you're presented with a couple of options. In fact, you're presented with 4 key targets and 3 options to choose from. You know, and these options, or rather these targets, hopefully would align, whether or not they align with your stance, you know, as against the options that you're provided with, and they are to be gauged against a timeline of 4 years. So I will go to the first option on the board there. It says a balanced budget. I don't know if you're seeing it, but do you think you can, in Bauchi State as governor, create or establish a structure where you have a balanced budget within 4 years of your administration? Is that a realistic target? Is that an unrealistic target? Are you undecided on the matter?
As a lawmaker, based on the provision of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, Appropriation Act and the Procurement Act, we are going to strictly abide by the rules and of the budget.
So would that be a realistic target?
And this is very, very realistic.
Very realistic. We'll take realistic there for you. We'll go to the second option on the board there. It says end water scarcity, and we're saying end water scarcity statewide, and not just within the metropolis. Do you think that's a realistic target? Do you think it's an unrealistic target? Or would you rather wait until you're sworn in as governor to decide?
What I will say is realistic because...
Realistic again it is. I'm sorry that I'm rushing you, but I'll quickly like to take you to the third item on the board there. It says to substantially mitigate flood disasters in Bauchi State. Do you think that's something you can achieve in 4 years? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it's unrealistic? Or would you rather again wait until you assume power or leadership before you decide?
Very realistic. I told you, with my technical experience, we are going to create dams across the state.
Realistic it is. Realistic it is. Let me move you on to the fourth item on the board there. It says food sufficiency. I mean, maybe you have to really think this through, but do you think you can achieve food sufficiency in Bauchi in 4 years? Is that realistic? Is that unrealistic? Are you undecided on the matter?
Over 80% of the land is an arable land and is farmable. And as a farmer, I will bring to bear my wealth of experience to that sector to make sure that we revolutionize the farming.
Fantastic. So that's
sector in Bauchi State.
That's realistic. I reckon you're saying that is realistic. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. A governorship candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, Senator Aliru Jika. I would like to wish you best of luck. Election day is just a couple of hours away. Hopefully, like I said to all of my guests, we would review how the process went after the elections. Thank you so much for coming on the ballot.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, so that's it. It's less than 3 days to the D-Day. Tomorrow will be our very last episode of the ballot for this election season, as campaigns would officially peg at midnight tomorrow. So let's make it a date. I'll see you again tomorrow. My name is Nnamdi Odikpo. Bye for now.